Hey guys, sorry I'm not there for today's show again. I know missing 2 out of 3 shows is pretty inexcusable, but I guess if you want, I could try to hop on real quick and I could introduce you to my 2 new friends, my little sisters, Ball Python and Corn Snake. I think you guys would all get along. I know Tucker loves them. Cold-blooded open. Get it?
Somehow, from all the way in Florida, Josh is still finding ways to troll people. You love to see it. And now we've learned that apparently our good friend Tucker D. Franklin, the D stands for devastated by the sight of snakes, apparently. Which, you know what?
We all do not like snakes. Do not.
Okay.
Got it.
Which, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Welcome to Only Weird Games. I am Seth Keysor, and on the other screen there is my wonderful friend, mentor, idol, beautiful man that I sometimes have inappropriate dreams about, Nate Taylor. Nate, how we doing today?
Great. That was some intro. Wow. No, I'm doing amazing. No one could hear this because obviously Tucker is a professional podcaster. But when Josh said that his sister has a corn snake, I said, corn snakes? Like, what are those?
Really?
It's amazing to know that your friends can go somewhere else and become a different person. That's basically Josh with his snakes.
Yeah,
Josh, his sister's snakes.
Yeah. Josh goes to Florida and he is 75% to being the Tiger King within 3 days, which is the least shocking thing to possibly happen. If I went to Florida, I don't think I'd turn into the Tiger King, but I'm not sure who I would turn into if I went to Florida. Just regular run-of-the-mill Florida, man, I think. We once stopped at an intersection in Florida, and there was a dude who was probably 70 who had walked out to the corner and put down a 1980s style boombox, and then he pulled out an Elmo puppet and then pulled out a Kermit the Frog puppet and just started dancing. He turned on music first. I should clarify.
Obviously.
It was just getting after. He had the puppets dancing and throwing them in the air. And so I didn't see this start because I'd gone inside to go get a pizza. And my wife starts texting me babe, you got to get out here. And I'm like, is everything okay? She's like, well, we're okay, but you have got to see what's happening. I'm like, well, what's happening? Because I was waiting for the pizza. She goes, I cannot possibly describe this to you. You have to come see it. So that would be me if I went to Florida.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Just what a story. And totally believable because it's Florida.
Yeah.
If I moved to Florida and I lived there for about close to 2 years, mostly kept my sanity, met some very nice people. There's a Florida version of church going folk that I don't have to say anything else. But obviously I met those people. I don't know who I would be because I'm really not into the ocean boat life. I don't know, man. But I also know that I don't want to be. I don't know. Does the guy who does the morning routine videos, is he in Florida? He feels like a guy who's in Florida.
It doesn't matter. You.
Thank you, Tucker. Yeah. So I don't. That's another extreme that I don't want to be. Is just clapping my hands and some, AI generated woman handed me sunglasses. What is this? The fact that I've watched all those videos is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Nate would be playing dominoes in the park. Maybe Dr. Ozzy. I don't know. I do enjoy the beach more than Holly. We've talked about this. Holly is more mountains, picturesque.
Well, Holly is
stay away from sand.
Holly's like jazz. They are both. Sun is not it's not going to be super, super kind. If jazz is out in the sun for longer than 20 minutes, she bursts into flames. It's pretty awkward for everyone. Like she buys like SPF 10,000. You open up the bottle and a sweater pops out like one of those snakes in a can.
Right.
And you just got to wear the sweater to the beach. But no, I can see you being the morning routine guy. I've decided that's who you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I am fast, but I'm not trying to like race with a car. You know, it's also amazing that he was a football player, which again, I just want to make this clear. He got a lot further than most people who played football in America, but it's still a thing that's like, you know, this is what you're known for. Also, incredible editing work for him to dive into the pool. 4 minutes has passed. Incredible work.
Yeah.
He was part of the Jaguars schedule release video. That's when you know you've made it.
Wow.
So maybe that's what I can aspire to be if I move to Florida, is just be a lifestyle coach who says a lot of earthy, given to the stones, you know, Instagram inspired quotes that seem granular, but don't read it a second time because it's just not. It's you know.
That's basically any Instagram. That's basically any Instagram quote or formerly Facebook quote, because I don't think anyone's on Facebook anymore for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds really deep as long as you don't actually think about it. You know
Correct.
what I mean?
As long as you keep scrolling, just keep doing this.
Yep. One of the pieces of advice I gave my oldest son, Tucker, when he was graduating, moving out, we're talking about different, you know, life advice and that kind of stuff. And I was talking about how a lot of people his age behave because I'm very old. And I was like, dude, don't be a Facebook status as a personality. There's just so many people out there that are just like, if you can't love me it's like, shut up. Just like live life and be normal. Like
it's like the grass or the sand or the water for all I
just
care.
Touch some grass, touch the water, calm down. Life is not a Grey's Anatomy episode that's waiting for you to speechify. Nate, we're here without Josh. And thank you, by the way. I've noticed our voyeurs have all congratulated me on resurrecting from the dead. I honest to goodness,
it's amazing you did that in just 2 days and not 3.
Well, we all try to one up our idols. Although, can Jesus be an idol? I don't think he can be. Like by definition.
Yeah, he's given his life for you already. So
yeah,
I guess that's, obviously it's worthy of praise and worship. But when Jesus talks about idols, as I'm sure you know, Seth, those are material things. Those aren't spiritual in nature. So that, I guess you could idolize him, but hey man, don't be out here trying to, hey bro, put some socks on. Okay. That would be my thing. Is like, hey,
don't try to walk on water. It's not going to go well for you.
Yeah, like, hey, if you idolize Jesus, if you idolize Christ, God bless you.
Yeah. Let's
put some socks on.
Yeah. Let's love our neighbors, not try to walk on water. So I have resurrected from the dead in 2 days, impressively so. We're here without Josh. It's still June, but Nate,
it's still June.
We have something resembling Chiefs news this week, or what passes for Chiefs news in June. On June 26th, this is news. The Josh Simmons buzz continues. The hype train, I'm going to predict this is not the crescendo. This is not going to be the height of the hype train. The height of the hype train is going to be the first practice of training camp when he does something, right? Because non-pads, right? Because that first couple weeks, they're not going to be pads.
Right.
It's going to be all about how athletic you are.
Correct.
And I think the hype we have not yet begun to peak with the hype. But this week, Chiefs right guard Trey Smith, he appeared on New Heights with Travis and Jason Kelsey. They talked about a lot of things. It's a great show. People should listen to it.
Yes.
But Josh Simmons came up. And basically, the hype train only intensified. I know you've listened to it, right? You've seen the clips.
Yes.
So
Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about, we as media members, reporters, analysts, don't just give me chicken. Don't give me baked chicken, okay? So when you're giving me the meat that is news content, interviews, writing, whatever, analyzing, put some sauce on it. Put ketchup, A1, Gates barbecue sauce. I don't care, but put some steak, put some sauce on the meat. And Jason Kelce was like, what if I go to the top of the line, top of the bar, and bring out some Trent Williams sauce?
Yeah. So that's the comparison. So Jason Kelce talked about looking at Josh Simmons' film from college. Obviously, Jason Kelce knows a lot more about offensive line than you and me do.
Yes.
And basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, his film was unbelievable, was ridiculous to watch, which it was, by the way.
It's so good. His
24 film is immaculate. I think I charted 4 games, and I told people afterwards there wasn't a single snap where I would have maybe legitimately called it a loss as a pass blocker. And it's just college. It's just college, everyone.
Yep.
We don't know.
It's Big Ten, big boy football, Power 5. They did, before the injury, obviously they were playing Oregon. Oregon had nothing for this man.
Oh my goodness. It was freakish. And so then what Jason Kelce proceeds to do is say that you're talking, he said he's not sure, he's seen someone else, and I'm paraphrasing again.
Yes.
Other than like maybe Trent Williams that has that combination of power and athleticism. That is not going to help slow down the hype train. So Nate, true or false, Josh Simmons is better than Trent Williams?
I mean, shoo, boy. I mean, it's one pile of coal to get this train moving a lot faster. I think it's a lot easier in June, as we all know, to just take the seatbelt off. Just really feel the wind as the hype train escalates down whatever track we're on.
Right.
You might want to put your seatbelt back on for into training camp, obviously, but we weren't even getting this level of hype for Kingsley Suamataia.
Oh, not even close.
And that's not
the team was really pushing him. They were like,
yes,
hey, he's here. Which, by the way, before anyone else comments, obviously he's not better than Trent Williams. Come on, man.
But are we sure? Are we sure?
I can't prove he's not.
Right.
I can't prove it. But I would just tell you, if Josh Simmons, but right now we're in June. This is the time to ride your bike with no handlebars.
Hey, the seatbelt signs off, okay?
Yeah,
enjoy the ride.
When was the last time you were on a straight road riding a bike and were like, man, I remember when I was 13 and I could ride a bike with no handlebars for infinitely. By the way, at 40, nope. I don't know what happened to my inner ear, but it's just like, whoa, there we go. Man, that ditch, woo,
right,
just snuck right up on me.
Like Kingsley Suamataia was good coming out of college, guys. And the Chiefs were really high on him, considering where they took him in the draft late in the second round. And it's not close to the all-in hype, and it's not like what we just did is not what they did on New Heights. Jason Kelce says Trent Williams. Everybody just is like, yeah, sure. Nope, no qualifiers.
Yep.
Hey, what was he? And then you get to, hey, what was he like at OTA's minicamp? And
Travis did not help with the hype. And by not help, I mean he didn't help slow it down.
No.
Travis is like, oh man, that's some great hype. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna just make people freak out. So Nate, you're the storyteller between the two of us. Can you paraphrase the story Travis Kelce told?
So, and I know we have such great voyeurs because again, great comment from Dr. Ozzy, because it's going to end with this. But essentially, this was Trey Smith's first chance to see Josh Simmons in person at mandatory minicamp, because he skipped all of OTAs because it's not mandatory, right? So, and he's dealing with the whole contract thing. So he kind of lets, and it's Travis and Jason's show, so he lets Travis really take us on a journey. And it's Travis basically being like, hey, we're not in pads, but let me see what the young fella's got, right? So because he's a rookie, Josh Simmons, which also I'm like, I don't know, shouldn't Ethan Driscoll be doing this? But I don't know, maybe he was.
Show us you're willing to do anything. I don't care what round you were picked in. Line up as the third team defensive end right now, Josh Simmons.
I need
Line
scout
up against
team.
future Hall of Famer, All-Pro, GOAT tight end Travis Kelce. You're lining up against him. Go.
Right. And I'm sure the scout card for the scout team defense that Joshua Simmons that's joined just says, hey, look, just run through this, gap or this run from this angle or rush from this angle, I should say, as a defensive end. Travis Kelce is attached to the offensive line as the tight end. Just, your normal traditional stuff. And hey, what the veterans always say is, hey, give us a good look, right? We're not doing this at game speed, but I don't need you lollygagging either.
Right.
Josh Simmons, according to Travis Kelce, scared the living daylights out of Travis Kelce by literally engaging him.
Just hands-on.
Just engaging him, and Travis Kelce be like, am I about to be decleated in a mandatory camp practice?
What's about to happen here? And the way, Kelce he's just like, that dude was so strong. Just putting his hands on me, which, by the way, upper body power shows up all over his film.
Yes.
Like the way he wins on film, people talk about guys with sand in their pants, that kind of stuff, and his lower body power isn't terrible, but it's that upper body power combined with his athleticism that stands out on film. And Kelce basically said, even him just trying to show me a look, I felt it. And it was like, whoa.
Yeah. So I guess, again, just inferring from...
I love June so much.
Inferring from the scout card, he's just supposed to give a traditional bull rush, right? There's no like swim moves, spin moves, in and out moves. Like, hey, don't sauce it up. But like, hey, just give me some protein, right? Which is essentially, just give me a nice bull rush. The first two steps of that bull rush surprised Travis Kelce in a practice without pads.
And it's not going to slow down the Simmons buzz. It's not going to slow down the hype train. Thank you, listener Scott. Let's see what he looks like in pads first before we put a gold jacket on Simmons. It's June, Scott. It's June.
We've already measured his gold jacket.
That kind of crazy talk is for late August. That's for late August, actually mid-August, right before pads, because we're going to have all this hype.
Right.
And then we're going to be like, guys, the pads come on next week. And that's where we get to a third of the way real football. Yeah, and then you get to the first preseason game. Now you're halfway to real football. Then you get to the second preseason game, or the final preseason game. Now you're 2/3 of the way. And then you get to season opener. Now you're 90% of the way there. And then Thanksgiving, real football.
Real football. Yes, real football.
So, but right now is the time for hype, and that's not going to slow it down because they're not shy about talking about his ability.
No. He appears to be a 5-tool prospect, right? He appears to be intelligent, strong, athletic, even coming off a, non-contact knee injury. He appears to have great instincts. And he's a team guy. So in essence, even though I understand that we've taken the seatbelt off, he's gonna be able to start on opening night, right? That's what this all means. He's gonna have to learn quite a bit still. For any rookie of any caliber of talent, you still have to learn what it's like to go up against, professional football players when you have not done that yet. But I love the fact that through everything that's been asked of him so far, everyone in the organization can see the potential. There's no it's hard for me to project what it could look like. Maybe if he does this, maybe if he gets better at that, maybe if he commits more. There's
and that's the Kingsley Suamata-Ia talk.
Yes,
which
there's
still
no
exists,
qualifiers.
by the way. Right.
Yes.
So far with Simmons, there haven't been qualifiers. We got to see the pads. It's exciting. The buzz and the hype is going to continue. I was kind of one thing, and so I'm just going to, because I'm not like Josh, right? for many reasons. One of them being I'm not going to do smooth transitions. So that was great, Nate.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what to expect in camp, which brings us next thing. One thing that I thought was interesting, if we're going to take anything away from mandatory OTAs, the fact that Andy Reid, Mr. Predictable, Mr. Routine, Mr. I do the same thing all the time, and that's part of what makes him special. Can occasionally drive you nuts a little bit, but he usually X's and O's, he'll adjust.
Right.
Routine, that man, he does the same stuff. It's like, oh, we're going back to our, 7th AFC championship. We're doing the same routine, guys. Same thing. And so the interesting thing to me, Mr. Routine himself, was he changed how he's doing training camp. Normally they have the rookies report early.
Correct.
What's that about? I mean, I assume that means that I'm right about Ashton Gelati. And I mean, it's June, right?
Right.
And
obviously it's like, let's do this. Because this goes back to Dr. Ozzie's quote in the comments. Technically, right now, it's George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, Joshua Simmons, and Ashton Gelati. That's your top 4 defensive ends based on where we are right now in June.
Did Mike Dana get hit by a truck?
No. I mean, look, Travis Kelce felt this man's hands and just said, look, could he be a two-way player? I don't know, but he can give a hell of a bull rush.
Yeah. Can you prove to me right now in June, Nate, that Josh Simmons wouldn't be an all-pro defensive end? We can't prove it.
I can't
prove it.
So look,
I thought it was interesting him talking about they thought they got in some good work in mandatory OTAs and just saying, nah, I'm not going to make the rookies report early. Does that mean anything? I don't know.
Yeah, I have 2 theories. Are you ready? And I haven't said this publicly anywhere. So what can we expect from camp, Seth, with no truncated easing the rookies in, right? 2 things. Well, kids, in the Andy Reid always predictable era, it was usually veterans coming off of injuries, all the rookies, all the undrafted guys, all the let's say special teamers looking to sort of elevate themselves.
Yep.
And it was the quarterbacks. Guys, he about to turn 30. And you know who he is. And I promise you, he looked at Andy Reid and said, I don't care that we drafted a rookie receiver, a rookie running back, a rookie left tackle. I don't care. I need those 4 days back in my life. I need those 4 days, coach.
Yeah, I like that as a theory.
Number 2, because Patrick's always been like, just whatever we do, coach, whatever,
Right.
It's the first sign of, hey, coach, come on now. Save my arm for like 3 more days. Like, I know the playbook, okay?
It's so hot there.
Thank you. It's so hot, coach. I got a family. I got 3 kids, man. Just give me 3 days, coach. Just give me those 3 to 4 days back. And my second theory is, Seth,
I'm with you.
They have decided, or let's just say Andy Reid has decided that, okay, is everybody close to health? Is everybody participating? Is everybody on board? Did we draft idiots? You know what? Let's give him a try run. Let's give him a trial balloon. Let's see how it goes this one time. Because I want to remind people right now, your team is about as healthy as you could ask for going into training camp, including Joshua Simmons, who we thought wasn't going to see anything until potentially training camp. You got a veteran team. As we said before, we assume Trey Smith will be there with a new contract. You've got a team highly motivated. Okay, let's just see if they've earned the right to come to training camp as a team and not making the rookies go through the mandatory 2 to 3 day, acclimation introductory portion.
Right.
So the last thing, Seth, is after these two theories of mine, which is quarterback driven and coach trying to give a little bit of trying to be a nice, good day. This is the good cop for the bad cop come on whatever July 27th. Bad cop coming out hard.
Yeah, when he brings out the long drive drill
at
so 11:50.
You know what? Everybody did what I asked them to do this offseason. Everybody's healthy. We did a good, we didn't draft no idiots. So, hey, you know what? Let me be nice cop before bad cop comes back. The second thing that I hate about this is there was always that rookie that made a mistake, which was always why Andy Reid did this.
Yep.
How am I know? I got the fans. Maybe the fans will get to see this, so this is like a benefit to them. But there was a time, Seth, where football season with the Chiefs started when I saw Leo Chanel bring all them chips into that dorm room, and I saw him puke all those chips out the next morning.
And it's a good litmus test. I'm very curious if you've got a veteran that's like, look, guys, don't mess this up for us, youngins. This is every veteran. I swear to God, if I got to come in early next year because you're a moron this year, I'm going to kill you. Like,
hey, we saw Xavier Worthy not puke, but he came close. Rashee Rice the year before puked. You know what? Andy Reid did y'all a favor because y'all could puke without all your teammates being in front of you.
And now you're going to puke in front of the media tent, baby.
In front of everybody.
Everyone's going to be tweeting about this.
Season ticket members.
It's going to be puke alert. I'm excited for it. You always keep an eye out for guys that are maybe from, north of certain lines where they're just that's St. Joseph's heat. I will never forget sitting down after practice to record with Josh, and I'm from Minnesota and North Dakota, literally have my phone ringing during the middle of a podcast because I'm a professional.
That's right.
We're all lucky that I don't answer that. But I remember sitting there in the sun, and I was like, it's too hot to record a podcast. How are these guys playing football right now? This is
too
insane.
hard to talk into a microphone.
It's too hard. It was ridiculous. I was melting. So it's interesting. We'll see if it means anything. Probably doesn't mean a whole lot. But we'll just see. That's the next step. Now we've got, for about a month, we've got the dead time where the Simmons Buzz will continue.
Now let's just for the audience, because I know Tucker put it in our ear, so I have to say it. Okay, Tucker's doing the actual reporting here, which kind of undercuts my two theories. Tucker says Andy said that they weren't doing the truncated rookie portion of training camp this year because they didn't have enough guys to do an early camp. Sure, coach. You didn't have enough guys.
Yeah.
Even though you drafted, how many people did they draft this year? Like 8, whatever?
They drafted enough. They've always got guys.
Coach. You didn't have enough guys.
And you know what?
A little rookie, welcome to training camp. Okay.
Oh, and this is, you know what? It's like anything else. Andy is just revving up, getting a little bit ready. Mandatory OTAs. That is the time to get ready for the training camp time-honored traditions and the regular season time-honored traditions of Andy Reid looking at you in the eyeball and bald-faced lying to you about something. All right. So here's what we're going to do. It's a special show. Again, I can't do what Josh does. Josh would say something slick right now, and it would go to break. He'd probably hurt my feelings in the process. We'd all have a good laugh about it. Instead, what I'm going to say is we are going to be answering a bunch of questions. I tweeted earlier asking for questions. If we get a really good one in the comments, throw some question marks around your comments. We'll try to answer those too because you're here with us live. We've got a ton of questions to answer. But first, I think we need to take a break. Tucker, what button do I hit to do this?
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN, and that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Nobody better than Tucker D. Franklin. Nobody. Nate, I'm hearing sounds where you are. If anyone's hearing sounds where I am, that's
my son playing Nerf basketball.
It's not Nerf.
My son's over here dribbling a normal basketball. We've got concrete in one of our rooms that we converted from a garage into like a toy room for the kids. And lately he's discovered how much fun it is to just dribble a basketball inside. And it's great. The best. Jazz, she hates it. There's just boom, boom, boom. It doesn't really bother me.
Right. Well, when we were kids, Nerf was mostly plastic, I guess. Now they've gotten he technically has a Jesser basketball over the door hoop, and it's like real rims, guys. It's many real rims, which are a little loud when you break. And Holly also hates it.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? She shouldn't have gotten under the rim if she didn't want you to bring the thunder on top of her head. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if my wife doesn't want me to dunk on her, don't walk near that rim. Like,
that's right.
You're begging me to. All right.
You know where the door is.
Yeah, you couldn't walk around it. You couldn't. All right. We're going to answer some questions. I'm going to start with what we've got with Jabin Carter. Nathaniel, would you take the over or under? And here's how we'll do this. We'll take turns answering first.
Sure.
I'll have you answer first, then I'll answer first, then you answer first. And, I think you know what it means to take turns, but I tend to over-explain things.
Yes.
By over-explaining things, I mean that I utilize way more words than are necessary to. All right. Jabin Carter, would you take the over or under on Patrick Mahomes throwing for 4,200 yards this season?
For a second, I thought he said 42 touchdowns.
Let's
see, because this question mostly comes from, hey, it's June. Seatbelt is not on. But hey, let me just double check what his numbers were last year.
I'm pulling them up right now.
It's also a little odd to, to see that, his numbers have been going down lately. I know 3,900 yards So if
more than
guys
Josh Allen.
Wow.
What?
Well, Josh Allen uses those hairy legs.
Right.
Yeah. So sure, I will say yes. Over with a healthier, just even with a healthier Hollywood Brown, let alone a healthy Travis Kelce again and Xavier Worthy having a little bit more explosive nature to him. No longer being a rookie in the league. Yeah, I'll say over fairly easily. And if the defense isn't as good as it's been the last 2 years, you might have to throw the ball more often.
I'm gonna say over, and here's why. In 2023, with an abject fiasco at wide receiver, but at least like passable left tackle play, Mahomes threw for 4183. All right. So really a Nats hiccup short. He's throwing for, over 5,000 twice, 47, 48. In 2019, because he missed multiple games, he was under 42.
Right.
And then last year, he was at 39. So basically, the majority of his career has gone above that. And I just need to remind people that in 2022, Mahomes threw for 5,250 yards with his number one receiver being Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, that was Travis Kelce, still at the peak of his powers. But that's the last time we've seen him with good left tackle play and multiple weapons he could trust. We haven't seen that since then. So
remember when the Chiefs had a Pro Bowl left tackle? Man, that seems like a decade ago.
And every Chiefs fan was sitting there dogging that Pro Bowl left tackle,
including my own father.
Yeah, it couldn't be worse than him. Oh, it could be so much worse. Then Donovan Smith, he's like, oh, he's whatever, but it couldn't be that much worse. It's like, oh, it could be so much worse.
I had to hear for half the year, we cannot, from my own father, they cannot pay Orlando Brown Jr. And I was like, who you paying, dude?
Yep, and Orlando Brown should be, and this brings us in a different direction, but Orlando Brown Jr. and everything with the Chiefs, and to be fair, the way the contract stuff went down, the super reasonable deal he signed with the Bengals was never on the table for the Chiefs.
Right.
But it's a really great example of the question isn't, should we get rid of this guy? The question is, what's the replacement? That's always the question. It's not just get rid of this guy. It's who replaces him, because that is much harder than people think, generally speaking. So we both take the over. I really don't think people understand. If you just pull up Mahomes' stats, last year was kind of an anomaly, and the year before, and we had weird things. Now we'll see. A lot of people think that's the way it is now. I tend to be skeptical of that.
He's still really good at football, guys. He'll be fine.
Amazing football. So, friend of KCSN, Chief Bearcat, wonderful human.
Hey.
At one point, the Chiefs had Kimball Anders, Donald Bennett, and Tony Richardson on the roster at the same time. 3 fullbacks on the 53-man roster. Discuss what the conversation surrounding the team would be if this was the current roster makeup. In the year of our Lord, 2025.
Oh, my God.
I think it would be a hoot, especially Tony Richardson
was good.
He would be incredible in today's league.
Yes. Yeah,
he would be juice check, but juicier. So the conversation would be about how Andy Reid is about to do something real weird and real fun.
Tony Richardson going up the B gap against a undersized linebacker. Yes, please.
Oh, I need it.
Yeah,
I need it.
Yeah.
It would be it would be a completely different game. It would be like, if you go watch Priest Holmes highlights or Larry Johnson's highlights, watch the number of times Tony Richardson is out there erasing a linebacker. Because it happened all the time.
Right.
It's not a coincidence. He left Kansas City, went to the Jets, and I don't remember who was running at the time, but that
Curtis Martin.
Curtis Martin. And Curtis could play.
Yes.
To be fair. But he went for like 1,500 yards.
Insane.
Because you had, hi guys. Because Tony Richardson did things that were just impossible to quantify other than in the running back stats who he was blocking for.
Now, some of my favorite plays of like the Paul Hackett, Al Saunders era of Chiefs offensive football was, hey, 2 backs, let's even split them. Like, don't even get in the eye or the strong weak side formation. Let's just have split backs, play action, because why? And then is that a pass? Is that a swing route to the fullback? That would be the offense, guys.
Right. And I'm here for it. All right. We've got a question from Scott. And so, Nate, it's your turn to go first. And then I'm have a really quick hitter after this. How much of Mahomes' regression, I assume you mean statistical regression, has to do with Kelsey hitting the wall? With Kelsey not being the same dude anymore, Mahomes doesn't have that security blanket to bail him out, and he panics. That's not what's happening on film, Scott. But I'm going to let you answer first, Nate. I broke my own rule. I apologize. I can't follow my own rules. Josh makes this look so easy.
So easy. Kelsey is still the security blanket in my mind if he's healthy and you have other talented players around him. The regression comes from the fact that you had no left tackle of substance.
Right. And here's the thing to think about.
You had to scheme everything last year, guys. Everything.
Everyone had to be schemed open. It was rough. Worthy started to make strides, and that helped. And you saw the offense, the way the offense started to expand before Hopkins started dragging around a leg. It was a different thing. Now, I will say this, statistical regression, I do think there's something to it. I don't think he's panicking, but there is something to it. You are going to have some statistical regression when a guy goes from uncoverable all time to very good.
Right.
That's gonna cause some of it.
Let me give you one example, Scott. Because I know maybe people think about this game, maybe they don't. But the reason why the Chiefs should have lost to the Broncos in Arrowhead last year is because of two plays that Patrick Mahomes admitted after the game. Yeah, I screwed up. But you have to understand why he screwed up. Where was the context in all of this? So let's remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that his current left tackle against the Denver Broncos was Wanya Morris, whose knee started to give out. So they put Kingsley Suamataia back in the game, and Nick Bonito started doing insane things, right?
Yeah.
So the Broncos already have a good defense. Now we're not blocking Nick Bonito. Okay, cool. So the two plays that I always remember from that game on offense is the Chiefs are like, man, we got to do something. Like we talked about on Tuesday, Seth, hey, we got to have an explosive play because they're just going to keep clamping on us.
Yep.
And every short route's going to get more and more difficult. So you know what? All right, please don't get him killed. He threw one deep ball, and to his credit, hey, Xavier Worthy is open on the sideline. And the ball went to row 4 because the man was like, am I getting protected?
Yeah.
And so everybody goes, oh my God, what a bad throw. And it's like, no, for 2.5 quarters, he has no idea what kind of protection he's getting on a down-to-down basis.
And that's much more.
Yeah, and then he missed Kelsey in the back of the end zone on a schemed up third down play. And it's like, hey, quarterbacks miss. It happens. He missed 2 of them when the game would have probably been over. Instead, Leo Chenal and the special teams, the whole thing comes together and they sort of, have a miraculous victory. But it's like, no, they should have lost that game because Patrick Mahomes missed 2 easy throws under normal circumstances.
And that's where the regression from Mahomes, and I'm actually in the process of compiling his yearly film review summary. And the numbers I think are going to show, the numbers that I chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to show a little uptick in happy feet, a little downtick in accuracy this year.
Yes.
And what you saw with Mahomes is the inconsistency in certain things started to affect him. Now that's on him. He's got to fix that. It's his job to not let it affect him, right? The inconsistency at wide receiver from 2023 affected him as the year went along. Then he really tightened it up in the playoffs, played awesome. And then this last year, when the wide receivers all got hurt, he tried to let it rip, throw it with his chest, got let down a few times. And you saw him, the way I keep describing it is he simultaneously was playing slowed down and sped up. He was playing sped up with the protection, and he was playing slowed down with his receivers. He wasn't as comfortable throwing to spots. Now, we'll see what happens with this year. I think that's going to be, it's one of the main stories. Yeah. But honestly, with Mahomes, you got to remember every year since 2018, we've had and I think people forget this afterward, not quite as much in 2020, because 2020, they were just a buzzsaw for most of the year, right?
Right.
But 2021, they had the conversation of, oh, Mahomes has been figured out, right? because we had that dip for a while.
Right.
And that was a rough multiple series of games that they finally came back around. The offense never went back to being dominant in 2021 as the year went along. Oh, Mahomes has been figured out. 2022, they had a great offense. All of a sudden, oh, no, it's great again. But before that, it was, oh, Mahomes has been figured out, all this stuff. Now, 2023, 2024, every year but we see him see one of those things that we've seen him adjust to this before.
I hate to do this, but this is June, and so I hope people enjoy this. Technically, you're right, Seth, but every time the offense did look great, there was one common denominator across the field. You know who that was?
What is that?
You know who that was?
Who was that?
Every time Matt Milano was on the other side of the field, the Chiefs were scoring points. I'm sorry, that's just the stats. Like they had an awful 2021 season statistically from a offensive standpoint, but one of the greatest playoff games we've ever seen was. There's Matt Milano isolated in coverage. It's just out and up, and you're never covering this man.
I'm back to Twitter questions. Adam asks, is an Arrowhead renovation really the direction this thing is going? Nate, I'm going to let you talk about this because I don't know. Kansas has now extended their bond for a year.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, technically, sure, but they kind of need an answer by the end of the summer. Yes. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read a quote from the Chiefs because they've had to put out statements today on behalf of the Kansas legislation. So, great question. Thank you for asking. No, Arrowhead's future is still very much in peril, in my opinion. So here was the statement from the Chiefs today. Quote, we would like to thank the Kansas legislature and the Legislative Coordinating Council for our constructive conversation Wednesday, and we appreciate that their willingness to convene on July 7th to provide an extension to Kansas's star bond legislature.
Sorry.
We continue to make significant progress towards a mutual beneficial agreement. However, these projects are complex, and due to diligence on both sides, it is required. The LCC confirming to meet soon about the extension enables us to continue finalizing large pieces of the puzzle that would be required for this project in the state of Kansas. Does that sound like, I don't know, Arrowhead's like locked down?
No, this is still all.
When you look, man, when you start thanking legislators from the other state for doing the bare minimum,
yeah,
it's still a bake-off, and I don't know. I have thoughts that I want to keep to myself, and you can surmise that however you want. But it's a bake-off.
It's a bake-off.
One bakery has all the ingredients.
Yes,
because the Chiefs told them all the ingredients to put in the bakery.
This is
and
actually
the other bakery is baking with less of those ingredients.
Zach Byers in the comments says this well. Blah, blah, blah. Who's going to give me the most money?
Well, Kansas has the most ingredients. Exactly the ones that you want to a T. You've already told them what to buy. It's whether or not they're going to buy it.
Someone pointed this out on Twitter earlier. They were talking about like football players and where they're deciding to play and stuff. You know, Max Crosby wanted to go where he can win a Super Bowl. He re-signed with the Raiders. DK Metcalf wanted to go to a more stable quarterback situation. He went to the Steelers. Yeah, I mean, this is we see it time and time again. Generally speaking, Myles Garrett wanted to be traded so he could win a Super Bowl.
Told everybody he wanted to be traded during Super Bowl week.
And then Cleveland was like, what if we give you $40 million a year? He's like, okay. And you know what? That's money often talks in these situations. All right. This is an interesting one that I'll go first on, and we're going to try to speed these up because we want to make it through more of these.
Yeah, sure.
Trevor on Twitter asks, do you think Najee Johnson is capable of playing free safety in single high looks? Here's the thing. When Najee Johnson came out of college, he was considered a safety. He did run a 40 in under 4.4.
Yes.
He had good 10 and 20-yard splits. Here's the deal. He didn't look as explosive or fast last year. So I would need to see him look that explosive again. He struggles more with man coverage than with anything else, though.
Right.
And so the idea of converting someone like him to a safety, to at least pay attention to the idea. But with what we saw last year, unless he can approach that explosiveness that he had in college, my answer would be no. What about you, Nate?
I will agree with you. The sad thing about this is, I think the best football Nazeeh Johnson played, nobody saw, because it was in training camp from a couple of years ago, and then his ACL gave out.
And that's just how it goes sometimes.
Correct.
And you know what? I just need to remind people, let's root for him, because you know what's awesome?
Amazing human being, very intelligent, hard worker, special. I've given Nazeeh Johnson special team ace label because he's proven it over multiple seasons that he can be a very plus contributor on special teams. Last year was the first time that Steve Spagnuolo said, "Hey, let's see it." Well, now we know what to work on. So hey, did he work on it this offseason?
Yep, and let's see if he's got that explosion. Thanks for the super chat, old friend of mine, Glenn. His super chat, not really a question, but I appreciate you anyway, because he and I go way back to the SB Nation days. Best defense Mahomes ever had will be this year. You know what? Here's what I'll do this. I'll turn this into a question. Nate, true or false? Best defense Mahomes ever had will be this year. True or false?
If you can guarantee overall health the way you could guarantee it throughout much of the 2023 season, I'm willing to take the seatbelt off and say yes in June.
I love it so much.
Because as much as L'Jarius Sneed was awesome in 2023, they did not have Charles Omenihu for a full season.
Yep.
If Christian Fulton can be competent, then that puts Trent McDuffie back in the slot, who, as we've seen in the past, is the best slot defender in the NFL. Chris Jones, healthy, exists, cool. Contract year for, in essence, a contract year for George Karlaftis. Cool. A contract year for Charles Omenihu. I still think Mr. Williams from California, who they drafted, might be a ball hawk. We talked before about they'll be young, they'll be athletic, they still have much of the spine with Nick Bolton. Let's see an uptick in Drew Tranquil, Leo Chenal. If you stay the same, that's great. And hey, if Jaden Hicks becomes a ball hawking missile, there's potential.
There's potential.
And but you got to stay healthy.
You need to stay healthy, and you need some of those things to go right. Not all of them, but some of them. The optimism for me in that, the possibility of it, is that on the whole, you're not gonna, unless he's a different player than he was with the Chargers. Christian Fulton's not going to be able to do what L'Jarius Sneed did, right?
No.
But here's what I would say: Trent McDuffie's a better player than he was in 2023. And Jalen Watson's a better player than he was in 2023.
Right.
And so in that, you can maybe in the aggregate be about the same at corner as you were in 23. And Spags' defense gets nuts when you got three deep corners that you trust.
Yes.
So I could see it. It'll be tough though, because that 2023 defense was awesome. All right, Nate, I'll go first on this one. I keep trying to remember who went first and when. On Twitter, King Cash asks, what is a realistic ceiling for Xavier Worthy? I think he can be a 1,000-yard kind of guy and a focal point of the offense next to Rice, especially if they use deep speed more. So what is a realistic ceiling for Xavier Worthy? I think a realistic ceiling for Worthy, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 8 wide receiver in the league. And now, before that sounds like I'm being a hater, really go look at the top 8 wide receivers in the league. There are so many freaks in the league right now. The fact that I think he could creep up to the top 10 is a testament to the fact of one thing that he had to work on last year, but he did show in college. He ran a full route tree in college.
Yes.
He played in a pro-style offense with Sark. At least in terms of what they asked the receivers to do.
Yep.
He was not necessarily ready, and you could see it early. I think having a rookie season where he had to struggle through it, he had to put more on him than he was ready for, then they had to put it all on Kelsey. I think that allows you to see, okay, if you want to be more than an okay player in this league, no matter how fast you are, you have to learn to do some of these things right. And he showed he can do those things at the college level. So I think, because it has ceiling, right? And so do I think he'll get there? I don't know. But that's his ceiling, I think, is hovering around a top 10 to 15-ish guy. Never one of the very best in the league, but one of the more dangerous guys in the league.
Yes. Very similar answer. I'm not asking for 1,000 yards. If I was the Chiefs, I wouldn't ask for 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards, still quite a bit, especially with that frame. I need some of the most splashy 850 yards you can give us. And when I mean splash plays, do I mean splash? Much like Mike Tomlin says, splash. So I would say 850, few more touchdowns because obviously, the system, the offense, Mahomes, and you have a better connection. He still had 6 touchdowns last year. And 3 of them, he had 9 total, 3 were rushing. So yeah, you can give him the ball in space. Give me 850 with, again, they have to honor and acknowledge Kelsey. We will find mismatches for Xavier Worthy on the deep because they have to account for Juju Smith-Schuster and Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco and even Noah Gray every now and then, which means, hey, boy, 850, 9 touchdowns. It's all there. Because I think he can mentally play faster now, which is what he started to show towards the end of last season. But now we don't have to worry about necessarily the physicality of the NFL because we had not seen him be in the NFL yet. So
right,
there's a chance he could play even faster with his speed, be more decisive with his movements, especially early on in the season coming up. So, yeah, just give me 850 and just Seth, imagine if he hits, I'm going to say 4 plays right now. Imagine if Mahomes hits him on the deep ball against the Bucks, the Saints, the 49ers, the Broncos.
The conversation around him would be very different if
does anybody remember the Bills game where he was a county wide open and still couldn't get his feet in bounds?
That was rough. There were a lot of close calls with him last year. We'll see how it goes. All right, we're almost out of time here. Nate, I'm going to ask you a yes or no question. Someone on Twitter asked, any updates, yes or no, on the Trent McDuffie or Trey Smith contract situations?
No.
All right. And then this is one, and I'm curious about this as well. Someone on Twitter asked, why does slaps never come up in the conversations about Kansas City barbecue? I've never eaten there. Nate, have you eaten there?
Yes, I've eaten there. Quick summary. Slaps is a B-level player that you really like.
Oh, jeez.
But
all right.
No. Let me do it. Does he have the sauce game? No. Does he have the rib game? No. Is he doing something innovative? No. Is he is he in a great location? No. Look, B-level player. Does he have the historical grandfathered in? No. But a B-level player is still a B-level player. I really like slaps. It's just they're in a Michael Jordan era of barbecue in Kansas City. Hey, it's okay. Sometimes Patrick Ewing is still in the Hall of Fame, and I would say slaps is kind of the Patrick Ewing of Kansas City barbecue.
So now
you didn't know that was coming, did you?
If you wanna get brutal honesty from Nathaniel Taylor, you ask him about barbecue. Nate, we are gonna get out in under an hour again. We all now see who the problem is of the 3 of us and why we're always going over an hour. Take us out of here while telling. Well, actually, do you have a thing to take us out? Because otherwise, I've got the final question.
Oh, sure, do it.
What is your favorite tailgate food? And I'm going to be incredibly basic, and I apologize in advance. There's so many things that are incredible, but there's nothing like, because of how easy it is to hold, because of the environment, everything, a really good burger in the Arrowhead parking
it's still
lot.
Great. Yeah,
just hits different. That's my favorite. Nate, tell us your favorite and take us out in 1 minute and 1 second.
I've had, it's one of the best parts of the job is just walking around, meeting friends, catching up with people in the Arrowhead tailgating scene, eating way more than I should.
Oh, it's awesome.
I've had friends do homemade shredded burnt in sandwiches. My God. I need
to go eat.
And again, have you ever seen Slaps barbecue sauce in Arrowhead's tailgating scene? I don't think you have, but that's okay. They still in the league getting buckets.
David Robinson was great too.
He was